looking at it. And it's a 50-year dream come true to be in this band and be playing this music. And also, I'm sitting on the stage, heroes of mine, because I saw these two gentlemen in 1968, second on the bill to Jimi Hendrix at the Fillmore East, and the Fudge. These guys were heroes of mine. So it's a real honor to be here.
Well, all of you are special to us. We all do. Well, that being the case, tell me how you got invited to be in the Yardbirds.
A friend of mine from New York, who we email each other about musical stuff, sent me something about something, whatever it was, and says, by the way, I think the Yardbirds might be looking for a new bassist. Why don't you get in touch with Jim on Facebook? And so I Facebooked him and I said, I'm Kenny Aronson, and I won't bore you with the details. Google me if you want to know what I've done. Because I've been a sideman for 45 years and played with just amazing musicians. And just told him that I was a Yardbirds fanatic since I was 13, 14 years old. And I knew all the material, and if he was looking for somebody, I'm around. And he got back in touch with me like 3 days later, and he just said, you got the job. The easiest gig I ever got.
The funny thing about this band is when we all got the call to do the gig, none of us auditioned for the gig. We just showed up at a rehearsal. I got a call from Jim, and Mike was there, and Kenny was there, and John was there, and we had a list of songs, and we played them, and that was it.
And were they Yardbirds tunes or were they covers?
They were Yardbirds tunes. No, they were Yardbirds tunes, but it was just odd because there was not really an audition process. We just kind of had the gig.
Well, you know, you brought this up, and it's a great topic. I want to ask the band members how they work and how they feel about social media. Carney,
one more story.
Oh yeah, come right in. Come on.
All right, this is Pete Bremy, our bass player.
It's funny, Penny, because my story with the Fudge is almost exactly like yours. I first saw the Fudge when I was 14 years old, and I saw them on the day before their first album was released, and Timmy Bogert, the original bass player, instantly became my hero, and I emulated him. And fast forward to the late 90s, I remained a consummate fan all the years, even when they weren't together. I got involved with a fan website. The band wasn't together at the time, but when the internet was new, I got online and I saw there was this beautiful website was created by this guy out in Las Vegas, and I trying to keep this short, got involved with him, and one by one the guys found the website and they loved it, and they declared it their official website. And I discovered that Vinny lived only about 45 minutes away from me, got involved with him. He found out I was a bass player, and we jammed together a couple times, and he invited me to be a part of his solo project. And in 2002, the Fudge were back together, and they were going to go on their first tour. And the day before, Tim Bogert came down with a severe case of pneumonia, was put in the hospital. And I was sitting I had a day job at the time, I was sitting at my desk, and the receptionist calls me up and says, I got a Carmine on the phone for you. I think I met Carmine once. Carmine, it can't be. He goes, hey Pete, it's Carmine. I found you. They were looking for me all day and found out that they were, he said that Vinny told him I knew all the Fudge material, and they came to my house. I happened to have a rehearsal studio at my house. I had a B3 organ. They came to my house 10 o'clock that night. The first show was the next night, and I went one rehearsal, went off with them, and did a tour with them for a while. And then when Tim Bogert finally retired, here I am. This is also a lifelong dream for me to play with this band as well. It's a dream come true. It's my favorite band of all time.
Well, as we say with all of you guys, you're here with the fans that love you so much, so you're going to have a great show, and it's going to be fantastic. But you brought up a great point. I wanted to ask you guys how you work with social media, and I think do the fans like it, being able to read the tweets and you know, go on Facebook and message and think that maybe Jim's actually going to read it and give you a call? Or So anybody want to speak to that since you brought it up? I didn't know if
I can answer that for
yeah.
Vanilla Fudge. Vanilla Fudge is on Facebook and Instagram. All the guys have their own, we all have our own personal pages and like pages. So, and Twitter, yeah, a couple of us are on Twitter, but Facebook, all 4 of us have Facebook pages and a Vanilla Fudge official page as well. So.
Do you find that it's kind of necessary these days to sell product or to get people to show up because there's the days of advertising, the record player are different? Yeah, they love it. You guys like interacting with fans? It's a thrill when you get tweeted back. Isn't it really great when you send a message up? So, do you want to?
That's good to know because I try and post stuff every 2 or 3 days, and I'm going, what am I even doing this for? But as long as everybody's listening, it makes it worthwhile doing it, Because the manager keeps saying, oh, you got to put this on Facebook or do that on Facebook. Why? It doesn't do anything.
Sure it does.
But it does do, right?
Yes.
All right, well, we'll keep doing it then.
Let's hear from, I remember when we did gigs with you guys, Sly, well, all you guys, but let's hear from you a little.
We didn't hear from Jerry, so Jerry.
Give him the mic.
Jerry!
Jerry!
When I go back to 1958 with Sly, I did the swim with him and all that stuff. And he was a DJ on KSLO radio, and that's when things were pretty separate. Black and white was different. And his concept was pretty revolutionary. The first really black and white American pop group, and he blew up the Vanilla Fudge. He was playing he had a black soul station, and he called me down the station and goes, I want you to hear these guys. And it was the Vanilla Fudge, and we were totally big fans of them. And Sly was a very brilliant man, and he's still alive, he's still going. But this was our 50th anniversary also. Probably all of us, huh? About 50 years?
50 years, 50 years.
Greg is the youngest. We opened up for Eric Third and also at Fillmore East and Jimi Hendrix. Eric,
We toured with Jimi Hendrix 13 nights in a row. We toured with Hendrix with all you guys at different points. That was some heavy tours, man.
Yeah.
In fact, we're still coming down.
No flashbacks for that?
When Jimmy toured with the Monkeys. Why tour with Jimi Hendrix?
Yeah, anyway, it's been a long ride, and it's Greg was only 17 and a half when we started the band. Now it's an old 23, and here we are later, and we're having just as much fun right now.
Well, you guys sound great. Vanilla Fudge, they have to go to do a show, so we're going to give up 4 chairs over here. And we're going to continue for a few more minutes. You guys, I know you have a sound check and you have to do a show, so...
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Mickey and all the guys.
You got any more time? You want a piece? You got any more time? We got a DVD coming up. Pick up their new CD, Into the Outdoor, their interpretation of Led Zeppelin music, so... All right, let's get Mickey back the mic. You want a real chair, Mickey, or you're happy with it? Okay, real chair. Was there a time where you went from actor to musician? I mean, and you said, okay, I'm doing this is really my primary job, or from musician to actor, or were you always doing both?
Well, I started out, I guess my first official job was as an actor in a TV series called Circus Boy. Yeah. In the 50s. My father was an actor, my mom was a singer and an actress, and my father was a singer. He sang, a light opera. He was swashbuckler, that Mario Lanza, Some enchanted evening, you may see a stranger. Except he would sing it walking around the living room in his underwear.
Thanks for the
Dad,
visual.
that is so gross. So I was around music all the time. All the time. My mother was singing, teaching me and my sister harmonies, and singing stuff from the 40s and 50s and things. So I was always around the music. The first gig was an acting gig. But simultaneously, my dad got me interested in classical guitar, Segovia kind of stuff. And I got my little Goya guitar, and I started taking lessons. And, you know, 2-3 years, 10, 11, 12, something like that, I started playing Segovia and Villalobos and stuff. You know, and I was okay for a 12-year-old. But then I started going to junior high school and high school parties, and they'd say, bring your guitar, and I'd come in and I'd start playing Malagueña. And the girls would say, do you know any Kingston Trio? I'll be right back. And I came back immediately with Hang Down Your Head Down, Doodly. And that got me into folk music. And then I started a couple of little duos with my sister, and then with another friend doing Peter, Paul and Mary and the We Five, and the early 60s folk stuff coming out, and Woody Guthrie's coming out of New York. And that kind of morphed into rock and roll. I had a cover band in the early 60s called Mickey and the One-Nighters, because that was a one night, but it was... It was a cover band. We were all, you know, cover band to start with, you know, and I was doing Barrett Strong's Money, and I was doing one of my, can't wait to tell her, my big party piece was House of the Rising Sun. That was one of my favorite things. And then one tune that I did, which I loved, was Walking the Dog, and then, what else? And then Chuck Berry. I was a huge Chuck Berry, Jerry Lee Lewis, you know, Fats Domino fan. I did Johnny Be Good. That was one of my little party pieces. And that's the song that I used to audition for the Monkees. That's the one that got me the gig. So I can't remember your question.
I think
that was so was that. But in the meantime, I'm also doing guest shots on television. Mr. Novak, Peyton Place, that some of these TV shows is a little dramatic turn guest shot. And I had these cover bands that I would travel around playing bowling alley cocktail lounges, and actually recorded. Some producer saw me, and I was singing at some open mic nightclub in Hollywood called the Red Velvet. You remember that? Yeah, the Red Velvet. Righteous Brothers would show up on a Monday, and, you know, Elvis would sit in the audience with Priscilla, I guess, singing, you know, Righteous Brothers kind of stuff. And so they saw me there, and I said, you want to record? I said, yeah, great. This is a good year or more before the Monkees audition. And I said, yeah, sure, I'll record. I had no idea how the recording business worked. You know, I was singing live out with bands, but I've never been in a recording studio, really recording. I went in, wrote a couple of tunes, do the tunes. It was released after the Monkees came out in New York, called Don't Do It. It actually got somewhere in the charts back east. And years later, this guy, I became very good friends with, a musician, comes up to me and he says, you know, I played on your very first song in Hollywood in '63, 2 or 3. I said, really? He says, yeah, it was that Don't Do It. It was Glenn Campbell. He was one of the Wrecking Crew. And he reminded me that Earl Palmer was on the drums, Carol Kay was on bass, and I think Leon Russell on keyboards or something. But I'm 18 years old, 18 or 19 years old. And, so yeah, it was a combination of a lot of things. I was actually, when the Monkey audition came along, I was studying to be an architect. I figured I ought to try to get a real life, a real job, and I was in college studying to be an architect, and I was gonna, if architecture didn't work out, I was gonna fall back on showbiz.
Very good. Well, Jim was working in stocks and bonds and money and all that stuff.
Well, I was training to be an actuary. I don't know if you have them in America.
Yeah, we do.
They're sort of the biggest paid people ever, you know. I went the wrong way.
So, what are you guys looking forward to most playing for our fans and friends here this week, the rest of this week? Anybody want to jump in? I know the Family Stone, they're as loud and powerful as they get at 11 o'clock tonight. Yardbirds, what can we expect?
We're looking to have fun. We're looking to let everybody else have fun because, to me, Yardbirds, coming into this band was just an honor is just almost an understatement. But we have had so much fun since I've been in this band. I've played their music since the early 60s. I was in the band as a lead singer probably around the same time that the Yardbirds were together, which was from 64 to 68. Yeah, it was a band called the Doughboys. Yeah, well, that was later. There was a band called, I also was lead singer of a band called Ram Jam. We had a hit song called Black Betty back in the 70s. And then from there, in 2000, the Doughboys got back together, and we opened up for the Yardbirds in 2011, I think it was. And that's how I got to